To order, I'm Dylan Baldwin, presiding in the absence of Chairman Martin, the Chair of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development. I'm present at the Central High School Building, 4th floor boardroom, 359 Northwest Street, Jackson, Mississippi, 39201. This regular meeting of the Commission is being held today, Friday, November 1st, 2024 at 10 a.m. pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 25415, with some commission members present via teleconference. The notice of this meeting, which included the date, time, and place and purpose of the meeting and identified the location available to the public, has been posted. An audio recording is being made of this meeting, and minutes of this meeting will be recorded. This meeting is being called to order at 10 a.m. on Friday, November 1st, 2024. Second agenda item is the establishment of a quorum. As I call the names of the commission members, please state your location of your presence for this meeting. Dylan Baldwin, I'm present, 4th floor boardroom. Jamie Creel.
Present, Flora, Mississippi.
Rebecca Gray.
Present, Ayuka, Mississippi.
Mary Hill Taylor.
Present, Rankin, Mississippi.
John Howard.
Present, Clarksville, Mississippi.
Kim Hubbard.
Present, Lowood, Mississippi.
Dr. Teresa Jaro.
Present, Starkville, Mississippi.
William D. Murphy.
Present, Indianola, Mississippi.
Dr. Teresa Poole.
Present, Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Ed Taplin.
Present, Ruth, Mississippi.
Aaron Wilson.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Dr. Burnell Kelly. Is not present. And David Martin. Also absent. A quorum of the commission is present at the location stated for conducting a meeting through in-person and teleconference means. Our third agenda item, approval of the minutes of the September 6, 2024 meeting of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development. Okay. I'm sorry. I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the September 6, 2024 meeting of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development. Please identify yourself for the record. I believe we already had a motion. And Ed Taplin made the motion, and a second. Please identify yourself for the record.
Aaron Wilson, second.
All right, I got Mr. Aaron Wilson first on the second. Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, now any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 4, which is the approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes of September 6th, and 2 of the 3 members are not present, so this agenda item will be moved to the January meeting. Agenda item number 5, approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes of September 11th, 2024. I will entertain a motion for approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes of September 11th, 2024. Subcommittee members present on September 11th, 2024 were Jamie Creel, Kim Hubbard, and Aaron Wilson. Please identify yourself for the record.
Aaron Wilson, motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Aaron Wilson. And a second, please identify yourself for the record. Second, Ms. Hubbard, thank you. Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. All right, we will vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Agenda item number 6, approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes of October 7th, 2024. I will entertain a motion for approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes of October 2nd, 2024. Subcommittee members present on October 2nd were Jamie Creel, Kim Hubbard, and I, Dylan Baldwin. Please identify yourself for the record. Can I get a motion?
Kim Hubbard, motion to approve.
Motion from Kim Hubbard, and can I get a second?
Second, Jamie Creel.
Second, Jamie Creel. Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. And we will vote. All in favor? Aye. And any opposed? Motion carries. All right, agenda item number 7, approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes for October 23rd, 2024. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the hearing subcommittee minutes of October 23rd, 2024. Subcommittee members present on October 23rd, 2024 were Etta Taplin, Kim Hubbard, and William Murphy. Please identify yourself for the record. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve, William Murphy.
Motion from Mr. Murphy. And second, please identify yourself for the record.
Second, Kim Hubbard.
Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. Okay, we'll take that to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, adoption of agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval of adoption of the agenda. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Aaron Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. And can I get a second?
Second, John Howard.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, agenda item number 9, Mississippi Department of Education, MDE updates. Dr. Corey Murphy.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Baldwin, and good morning to each of you. Dr. Van Cleve is joining us at this time, as she will be providing to you 2 updates that come before you around the same time each year. And so one being an update regarding the Mississippi educator workforce, which derived from a recent retention and recruitment survey that we've conducted. And the second and final update you'll hear this morning is that of the 2024 Educator Preparation Provider Annual Performance Report. Dr. Van Cleve, you may proceed.
Just waiting. There we go. Well, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Murphy and members of the commission. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share today's updates on Mississippi's educator workforce. So as always, we do begin with our vision and our mission, which, as you know, it is indeed to create a world-class educational system that gives students the knowledge and skills to be successful in college and the workforce and to flourish as parents and citizens, in order to achieve our mission such that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. So with that being said, we look to achieve this vision and mission as part of our State Board of Education Strategic Plan goals. We see these updates as critical, and in ensuring a strong educator workforce is critical to achieving Goal 4. Every school has effective teachers and leaders, even as we believe that establishes the firm foundation for many of the positive student outcomes that we look to see here as well. Within the Office of Teaching and Leading, as many of you all know, we look to support our educators from recruitment to retirement. And so many of the items that you'll see here within the teacher recruitment and retention survey are indeed reflective of that effort. So we'll jump into the statewide results. We also did want to note for the commission that as these results have been presented to the State Board of Education, the full results are also available on our website. So today is just a brief high-level overview of some of the key trends that we're seeing. In terms of the context for the recruitment and retention survey, we began administering this survey during the 21-22 school year. The name was adjusted this year in recognition of the recruitment factors that have been included throughout. And for reference, baseline surveys include 70-plus questions for a comprehensive picture of educator workforce development efforts and trends over time, whereas non-baseline surveys are shorter to dive deeper into the previous year's results. This year's survey was 20 questions to explore topics like the impact of modified calendars at the request of the State Board last year. In total, 6,903 Mississippi teachers completed the survey for the 23-24 school year, which did indeed serve as a non-baseline administration year. So as we kind of start looking at those results, we did want to note that of the teachers who completed the survey, we had a fairly consistent distribution in terms of the number of years of experience. As you can see here, we do believe that these results as a result are inclusive of the perspectives of early, mid, and established career educators. Diving into the beginning of our career continuum with recruitment factors, one of the elements that we did this year was we took a deeper look into some of the innovative strategies that we heard from survey respondents and also from Mississippi education stakeholders last year in terms of factors that would increase teacher recruitment. Of those, increased days for sick and or personal leave was a clear front runner at 53%. We do want to note, though, that other innovations like dedicated transportation supports for employees' children, such as like a dedicated shuttle bus, that very well may work as a retention strategy. It just depends more so on the local district context in a way that isn't always reflected in the statewide results. So then we look at working conditions. Last year, we noted that there was an uptick in the number of interruptions that teachers were experiencing during instructional time. So we wanted to look a bit deeper there, and we can now see that those are largely attributed to students' personal devices as the source of those interruptions during instructional time. We also saw an uptick in terms of concerns related to a safe school environment. Here we're seeing that those are largely attributed to both campus security and student behavioral factors. We anticipated seeing a bit more around social media here. It could be that they're still interrelated, like we just saw with the interruptions related to student devices, but again, the campus security and student behavioral factors were the ones that teachers largely attributed to. We also always look at the impact of school leadership. Yet again, for this year's survey administration, school leadership emerged as the second biggest factor in teacher attrition. So we wanted to flip that this year to look at the strategies that leaders might employ to actually increase teacher retention. And with that, teachers noted the need for more trust and autonomy. Then, again, at the request of the State Board, last year we were asked to look into the impact of modified calendars. We know an increasing number of districts are making that particular shift, and here I think that the results are interesting in that they were fairly neutral overall. However, for teachers in districts with a modified calendar, they did note that it is more likely to increase teacher retention than not. So certainly something we'll want to continue to look at as the years progress. Here again, compensation did emerge as increased compensation emerged as a continued call for teachers across the state. And so we did want to understand that a bit more, digging deeper into the drivers behind that. And here respondents primarily noted just simply the increased costs of living due to inflation. Less so than some of the more competitive factors that we hear, like competition with other professions, competition with other state salaries. Here it was noted that, no, it's simply just costing more to live right now. So it's kind of the driver behind that increased call for compensation. Then we always want to, as we look at the results, we always want to note some of the strategies that we will be employing this year as a result. We have continued to hear the interconnected nature between school leadership and teacher recruitment and attrition. So this year, a number of our strategies are actually focused on leader supports, even as we're going to continue some of the more educator-focused strategies we've employed previously. In terms of those strategies, our first is the professional growth system supports that we now have launched statewide in Mecca. As of last year, we successfully launched the PGS portal within Mecca. 100% of districts submitted their PGS data for the 23-24 school year in Mecca. This particular year, 30 districts have actually opted for full implementation of all observation, coaching, and feedback features within the Mecca platform. We also have 83 districts who I think of as kind of taking the wade-in approach by joining our PGS portal community of practice for this year. We are also, with Dr. Evans' support, launching an education leadership series this year. And some of the topics based on both national research and Mississippi stakeholder feedback we are looking forward to including in that series are those related to strengthening instruction, strengthening teams, and strengthening schools, with some of the particular focus areas that you can note here. And then finally, is one of the strategies that we will continue to support for our educators in recognition of the tremendous impact they make on a daily basis. We will continue with the Elevate Teachers Conference this year. Our first relaunch after the pandemic we had in Jackson. We then took Elevate on the road to Meridian. And for those of you who saw this slide last year and you're like, it looks exactly the same, that's because the results are exactly the same. So 2 different locations in the same, 2 different locations, same overwhelmingly positive results for the Elevate Teachers Conference. So we are excited to see where that lands this year. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and also jump into another update, wherein we will give a brief overview of the 2024 Educator Preparation Provider Annual Performance Report. For context, this will serve as an information item for the State Board of Education. However, we did want to share it with the Commission, both as just kind of context for the report itself, and then as an overview of some of the high-level trends we're seeing here prior to the report's release. So in terms of that context, the legislative authority for the annual report is established in both state and federal regulations that do again establish that authority for the State Board of Education and the Mississippi Department of Education to ensure the quality of teacher preparation programs in the state. So the annual report actually accomplishes 2 functions. One, it meets the federal reporting requirements outlined in Title II within the Higher Education Act. It also meets state reporting requirements under Mississippi Code Annotated 37-101-29, which you can see referenced here as well. That particular section of state code outlines certain data elements that need to be included in the report, such as teacher enrollment data and the satisfaction rate of employers and graduates. So you get some more information on those 2 areas today. However, the full report does indeed include all those required reporting functions under state law. So as that high-level overview of where we are right now, in terms of our 2022-2023 admitted candidates, this particular slide will outline the total number of candidates by pathway. In sum, 1,824 candidates were admitted to our traditional, alternate route, and alternate certification pathways. Here again, this is for the 2022-2023 year, noting that while this is the 24 report, this data is reported in lag year because it takes kind of that amount of time to collect the relevant information. So then when we take a longer view, this particular slide is going to show the 7-year trend of admitted candidates to our EPPs statewide. What you'll note here is that there was a significant uptick during the 2019-2020 and the 2020-2021 school years. This was during the period in which we had the licensure testing suspension due to COVID-19. And so while we are seeing a reduction in the rate of admitted candidates relative to kind of those significant upticks, by and large, we are seeing kind of a return to pre-pandemic, close to or even slightly above in some areas. Then when we look at completer candidates, in total, we had 2,299 candidates to complete our traditional alternate route and alternate certification pathways. This slide will show that particular breakdown with traditional in blue, alternate in red, and alternate certification in yellow. We also look at the 7-year trend for completion. Here again, you'll see the uptick during the licensure testing suspension in school years 2020, 2021, 2021, and 2022, with again, that slight reduction happening for this particular year, yet still reflective and or slightly ahead of pace of where we were pre-pandemic. So with that being said, wanted to end on somewhat of a high note in terms of hearing from candidates themselves. Of those candidates who have gone through our Mississippi Educator Preparation Pathways, 94.55% were indeed satisfied with their preparation. And so with that being said, happy to address any questions or comments as we move forward. The annual performance report will indeed be also listed on our website following State Board of Education approval. And so if there are indeed any questions or comments, happy to address those here.
All right, so hearing none, that concludes our report. Thank you so much, Dr. Van Cleve.
Thank you, Dr. Van Cleve. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. This brings us to our information action items on agenda item number 10. Approval of Delta State University's request to delete its approved traditional teacher education preparation licensure track, Bachelor of Science programs in English Education 7 through 12, Mathematics Education 7 through 12, Music Education K-12 Instrumental, Music Education K-12 Vocal, Physical Education K-12, and Social Studies 7 through 12. Dr. Corey Murphy.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Baldwin. I want to start by noting that normally these type items would actually come before you at set times of the year. And so given the, I guess, unique circumstances that Delta State University faced earlier this year, we are bringing them to you today. And so, as you may know, earlier this year, Delta State University announced its intention to close certain programs as part of a broader restructuring of their institution. And as a result, the Mississippi Institution of Higher Learning approved DSU's request to close their existing educator preparation program and offer a new Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education degree to be housed in their reorganized College of Education, Arts, and Humanities. And so DSU has provided a definitive timeline and guidance regarding the process for candidate program completion via teach-out plans and its proposal for a new Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education degree, in which would be represented in the next item. And so ultimately, this request is that of the deletion of their discontinued degree programs noted herein, and the recommendation from the department is for approval.
I I'll entertain a motion for approval of Delta State University's request to delete its approved traditional teacher education preparation licensure track, Bachelor of Science programs in English Education 7 through 12, Mathematics Education 7 through 12, Music Education K through 12 instrumental, Music Education K through 12 vocal, Physical Education K through 12, and Social Studies 7 through 12. Please identify yourself for the record. Thank you, Ms. Dr. Jarrow. Second, please identify yourself for the record.
Teresa Poole, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. All right, that leads us to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 11, approval of Delta State University's request to establish a traditional teacher education preparation Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education program leading to licensure in 2 areas, with the major emphasis area including English 7 through 12, Mathematics 7 through 12, Music Education K through 12 instrumental, Music Education K through 12 vocal, Physical Education, Social Studies, or Physical Education K through 12, Social Studies K through 7 through 12, and Biology 7 through 12. Dr. Corey Murphy.
Thank you again, Mr. Baldwin. So this new degree program represents Delta State's intent to provide a path forward for current and prospective candidates in secondary and K-12 education programs, despite program closures, while continuing to aid in our efforts to address the teacher shortages. And so the new Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education degree will streamline all secondary education majors into 1 degree with a pathway to licensure in 2 areas of emphasis. And so the major emphasis area will require a passing score on the appropriate subject area assessment for initial licensure, while the second area of emphasis may then be added by either completion of a State Board of Education approved program or by 18 hours of acceptable coursework in the subject area. Therefore, no additional licensure tests are required. Program entry requirements shall remain consistent with those requirements outlined in state law and Mississippi State Board of Education policy, and the recommendation for this proposal is for approval.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of Delta State University's request to establish a traditional teacher education preparation Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education program leading to licensure in 2 areas, with a major emphasis area including English 7 through 12, Mathematics 7 through 12, Music Education K-12 instrumental, Music Education K-12 vocal, Physical Education K through 12, Social Studies 7 through 12, and Biology 7 through 12. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Howard.
Second, Aaron Wilson.
Thank you both. Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 12, approval to begin the Administrative Procedures Act process to revise the title of 12 endorsement areas, to change the title vocational to career and technical education throughout the CTE licensure guidelines document, to add approval by CTE statements to endorsement areas that are no longer being issued, to add the veteran teacher experience statement to career pathway, software development, CTE endorsement areas, and to remove the approved courses from all CTE endorsements throughout the CTE guidelines document. Mr. Brett Robinson.
Good morning. Thank you for your time this morning. I will lead off by apologizing for the lengthy item. As you can tell, we took some time to go page by page and almost word by word through our licensure document to make some much needed updates and changes, and that's what we've got before you today. I'll be kind of assisted today by our Director of Instructional Development, Ms. Tanya Gibson. But the first request in changing the requesting approval to change the name of 12 of our CT endorsements to reflect what is being taught with the endorsement. That's simply, we want to align what the name of the endorsement is with what the name of the curriculum is. And so just looking for some consistency there. And we found we have 12 different endorsements where the name of the endorsement was different than the name of the curriculum. The second, requesting approval to change the word vocational to CTE throughout the licensure document. Again, I think that gives you an idea as to how old this document is and the last time that it was kind of reviewed at this depth. Being that we use career and technical education in lieu of vocational education at this point, we just, again, want to be consistent with the language that you hear coming out of our office. The next, and I'll get Ms. Gibson to help me with this one, but requesting approval to add a statement in 6 of our endorsement areas to give us some leeway and some flexibility here in order to issue a license or endorsement. And really what we're doing here is helping to provide a little more availability for applicants and for teachers. And so I'll let Ms. Gibson tell you a little bit more about what those 6 specific endorsement areas are.
So the 6 endorsement areas are 373 small gas engines, 919 heavy equipment, endorsement 958 TV broadcasting and production, 962 dental assisting, 979 masonry, and 980 plumbing are the 6 that we're adding it to. It's already listed on the 349 custodial services and 918 furniture design and manufacturing.
All right, really the next 3 can be lumped together because again, the requests associated with these is really about broadening our candidacy pool to try to assist districts with finding quality teachers. And so with the 960 career pathway software development, really looking at broadening the amount of experience there, going outside of the 10-year time frame. The next, with the 968 career pathway diesel service technician, we've got some additions and some updates to the curriculum there, but looking at adding a specific requirement within that endorsement area, again, to help with kind of broadening that candidacy pool. And then the next, with the 974 heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, requesting approval to add an additional occupational option to that. Again, like I said, just with the total idea there of how can we help districts identify and retain some of their teachers and possible teachers. And then the final piece, as we went through the document, in an effort to try to not come before you every single time we review or revise a curriculum, we've removed the course names from every single endorsement, because every time we revise a curriculum, which we do that every curriculum is revised every 5 years. We do about 15 or so curriculum a year. When that happens, sometimes we change the names of what the specific courses are. And so every time we did that, we would need to come back before you and say, hey, we want to change this name. And so we kind of consulted with Dr. Murphy on that and collectively made the decision that to relieve you of that burden, we just removed from every single endorsement, we removed the course names. So that's all of the stuff, but if you have any questions, be glad to answer those.
If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion for approval to begin the Administrative Procedures Act process to revise the title of 12 endorsement areas, to change the title vocational to career and technical education, CTE, throughout the CTE licensure guidelines document, to add approval by CTE statements, to endorsement areas that are no longer being issued, to add the veteran teacher experience statement to career pathway, software development, CTE endorsement, to add additional occupational experience options to 2 CTE endorsement areas, and to remove the approved courses from all CTE endorsements throughout the CTE guidelines document. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Jamie Creel.
And thank you, Mr. Creel. Can I get a second? Please identify yourself for the record.
Second, Mary Hill Taylor.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And that brings us to agenda item 13, approval of ratifications of agreed orders and/or voluntary surrenders. Mr. Scott DeYoung.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Good morning, everyone. The Office of Educator Misconduct Evaluations has 5 agreed orders that we would request that you consider for ratification, along with one standalone confidentiality cooperation agreement. For Standard 10 breaches contracts, the following educators have entered into agreed orders for violation of Mississippi Code annotated 37957 and Standard 10 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards. All have consented to enter into the agreed orders relinquishing their educator licenses without the necessity of a disciplinary hearing before the commission. All the following licenses shall be relinquished, suspended, or otherwise surrendered from the date of ratification by the commission through June 30 of 2025. All licenses will be eligible for reinstatement upon conclusion of the suspension period, and the respondents must petition for reinstatement of their educator licenses pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 373214A without the necessity of a hearing. Educator Lisa Cummings, license number 304102, Lauderdale County School District. Beverly Collins, license number 410328, Wilkinson County School District. Jocelyn Nixon, license number 318865, Meridian Public School District. Corey Neese, license number 258191, Winona Montgomery Consolidated School District. Sally Long, license number 196507, Lauderdale County School District. We have a cooperation agreement for a Standard 9 maintenance of confidentiality. Educator Kelsey Hill, license number 274797, has entered into a cooperation agreement on October 14th, 2024, with the Office of Educator Misconduct Evaluations. The respondent agrees to fully and truthfully cooperate in the investigation of testing irregularities at the Jackson Public School District during the spring 2023 Mississippi Academic Assessment Program. Contingent upon full cooperation, the Mississippi Department of Education agrees that it will not pursue any additional actions or commence any additional proceedings against the respondent for any of the acts affecting the validity and integrity of the spring 2023 Mississippi Academic Assessments Program at Peoples Middle School.
Excuse me, Mr. Howard.
In addition, after full cooperation, if necessary, the MDE will recommend to the Office of Attorney General and/or the Office of the District Attorney that respondent not be criminally prosecuted for any of the acts outlined in the cooperation agreement. This concludes the agreed orders and the the cooperation agreement. And again, ask that the commission consider these for ratification and approval.
Thank you, Mr. DeYoung. I will entertain a motion for the approval of ratifications of agreed orders and/or voluntary surrenders. Can I get a motion? Thank you. And can I get a second?
Second, Jamie Creel.
And any discussion? Please identify yourself for the record. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to the last item on our agenda, item number 14, the adjournment. I will entertain a motion for approval to adjourn. Please identify yourself for the record. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Can I get a second?
Second, Aaron Wilson.
Second, thank you, Mr. Wilson. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Meeting adjourns at 10:40 a.m. The next regular meeting of the Licensure Commission is Friday, January 10th, 2025. Happy holidays to each of you, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you.